Well, earlier today, the president had a phone call with the nation's governors where he basically told them that they shouldn't be weak. They should stand up to all these protesters. Our next guest says that liberal mayors and governors, in fact, are to blame for letting these rioters get out of hand and take over our streets. Even his home state of Indiana's peaceful protests turned into violent riots as protesters clashed with the police. We welcome in Congressman Jim Banks of Indiana, who's been pushing to put Antifa on the domestic terrorist list. Congressman, welcome back.
Hey, good to be with you.
So I know that you've asked to put Antifa on a domestic terrorist list. Where does that stand?
Well, this is common sense. The president has talked about doing just that. Unfortunately, we're still calling on FBI Director Wray to do what is common sense to most of America. Antifa is a domestic terrorist organization, and it should be labeled as such alongside a number of other types of domestic terrorist organizations. We're seeing firsthand throughout America what Antifa is capable of as they orchestrate and coordinate many of these riots and violent activities as a part of these riots throughout the country. So I appreciate the president certainly agrees and has made the bold statement that he's going to do this, but the FBI director still needs to do the right thing and make this happen.
Congressman, how do you stop a group like this? Because when you think about Antifa, they're pretty amorphous. They don't have a leader that is known. How do you stop a group when they are like that?
Well, first and foremost, we need to identify them as what they are. I served in Afghanistan. I've seen what terrorism looks like, and if it looks like a terrorist, if it acts like a terrorist, then we should call it a terrorist and call Antifa a terrorism organization domestically within the United States of America. So the first thing that we need to do is identify it, and that's what the president has made very clear that he intends to do. But then, secondly, that enables our federal and local law enforcement officials to take severe actions or strong actions against Antifa as a terrorist organization. Hopefully, that serves as a deterrent to Antifa from continuing to organize the activities that they are. If not, then it allows federal officials to take stronger actions against them as part of the effort to crack down on these activities.
You know, Congressman, the thing that's troubling to me right now is that we need to address this Antifa stuff. We need to address the riots. We need to address the looting. But in doing so, we have overcome the message and the concern that this all started at. And I'm afraid that by where we are now of focusing on the Antifa part, that while we need to do it, we can't lose sight of what's causing it or what caused it in terms of this police brutality and the underlying issues that continue to exist. So is there a way that you can find a balance between going after those folks and then not losing the message that we need to hear?
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I've been in touch with African-American pastors in my own district. As we've had riots in Fort Wayne in my district, we've had very violent riots in Indianapolis with a great deal of destruction in both places. And as I talk to Black pastors in my district, they tell me that the violence isn't occurring from members of their community. It's occurring from these outside forces, whether they're coming from other places or not. It's occurring not on behalf of those who are protesting police brutality. Is coming on behalf of anarchists, of these types of and forms of domestic terrorist groups. So you're exactly right. We need to separate that from the true issues at hand, and recognizing that what happened in Minneapolis was real. We should speak out against it. We should recognize the racial issues that exist in America. But at the same time, we need to call out these destructive forces that have completely deviated. I mean, unfortunately, for the sake of a true American conversation about racial issues that continue to exist in our country, these domestic terrorist groups have completely circumvented the ability for America to have a true a discussion and conversation about what we can do to change that in our country. So as we see riots continue to persist throughout America, we need local leaders, we need mayors and governors to stand up and enforce the rule of law and prevent these riots from continuing to occur. And unfortunately, in some cases, we're not seeing that type of leadership exist.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining us, Congressman, and your efforts to make sure that we don't lose sight of both what Antifa's done, but also the bigger issue that we need to make sure that we don't lose sight of. So thank you very much, and I appreciate your service.
Thank you.
All right, when we return, lots more to discuss on the protests and riots that are sweeping our nation. We'll show you what the media has not been showing you, plus part 1 of our series, Blocked and Banned, Social Media Censorship of the Right. Donald Trump Jr. joins us. Stick around.